What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Naia Lax updates. How are we doing today, Tucker?
We're doing great. If you guys can hear John that much better, his headset is to be thanked for that. He's got a nice little bit of headwear there and a mic that is very, very clear.
Yeah,
So
I don't know why I never thought about this, but I was playing some Xbox earlier and I was like, I wonder, will this mic just plug right into the laptop and be good to go? And sure enough.
now we're on very good audio quality across the board. So that's sick. That's good. Life is good, man. We got some big news dropping probably in the next 2 days, 2 to 3 days. So hopefully you guys are excited for that when it comes out. It's pretty awesome. I'll leave it at that, and we'll get the reactions in real time as they happen because it's gonna be some fun stuff. So stay tuned for that big news. I teased that on my Twitter account earlier. I figured it was a good time to put a teaser out. So that's a fun one. And I got to coach some high school lacrosse today here in Dubuque, Iowa. Yes, we have high school lacrosse in a little bit different format, but it's great. Lost the first one by 1 goal, won the second game. So it was fun. All the teams involved were from the state of Iowa as well, which was kind of a cool one. So I got really sunburned on my calves. Apparently, because it was cold wind, I didn't equate the fact that there's sun out still. And I now have absolutely charred calves. So that's awesome. But yeah, man, life is good. The world is still spinning and the podcast is back. And we have a lot of playoff picture lacrosse to talk about. Some teams have been eliminated. Some teams have moved on. Some upsets have occurred. And man, there's a lot of great, juicy lacrosse to be talked about here. Wow, I just said that. Okay, we're gonna go right into it.
Before we start the games, we did not cover this last week. We should have. Missouri Baptist has announced Trey Whittemore, the Reinhardt defensive coordinator, as head coach. So I'm pretty good friends with Trey. I played with him. Very excited for him. I know he's going to absolutely kill it out there. So congrats, Trey.
It's great. It's a great hire. And that also gives a little more clarity to, I guess, the way that Missouri Baptist is pushing. That's a very good sign for the program, especially. And Trey having national championship experience and coaching experience and all that coming into it is really exciting for the future of MoBap. So I really look forward to seeing what he does with that program.
Yeah, I feel good about it. I mean, his dad was a pretty successful high school coach in the Atlanta area, so has a good background in that.
Well, the good news is St. Louis, Missouri does in fact have humidity, so it will be an easy transition. That's the good news to that. That's the good news to that. All right, so yes, hats off to Trey. That's exciting stuff, and hopefully the boys at MoBap are also excited. Now we get to move into some playoff lacrosse. Kcac semifinals. We got 2 games to discuss here. I think they were interesting games. I don't know that they were like really shocking from our picks. The first one being Columbia playing St. Ambrose. Again, this tournament was held at Benedict in Atchison, Kansas. So Columbia and Ambrose played the first game that day, daytime game. Our picks, I think, on this one were, I think they're pretty heavy-sided, Ambrose, if I remember correctly, but we knew that Columbia could put together a fight. And that's exactly what we saw here. Really, that's exactly what we saw here. I think at times Columbia was leading, if I remember correctly. There was moments where I was like, oh man, Columbia is going to pull off an upset. And the score, really, it was a great game. It was a great battle for a semifinal game, and that's what you'd want to see in it. Ambrose took that game 17-13 over Columbia. John, what did you see in that one?
Yeah, I mean, this one was a tight one heading into the fourth. There was 10-9, I think. Ambrose was leading heading into the fourth, and they scored like twice in the first minute, kind of solidified the lead a little bit. I don't know. I mean, Columbia really turned it on kind of the last couple games of the season. I guess it's a little bit of a shame they couldn't have turned it on maybe a little bit earlier in the year. I know they had some issues getting a later start to practice this year. The one thing I think would be their downfall in this one is they went 6 of 33 on the faceoffs. So
Yeah, and that seems to be, no knock on whoever's taking faceoffs for Columbia. But my understanding is that they went into the season just there. I think their faceoff guy was either ineligible or had to leave the team all of a sudden. So I don't know if, from what I was hearing, they were in a position where they had no guy who was really a designated faceoff guy. And I will tell you right now, in the KCAC this year, that has been more than important, because any of the top teams in the KCAC, their strong points have always been faceoff guys. So I think that's partly kind of what we saw there in that game, and what we've seen a little bit with Columbia kind of across the board this year. Still put together quite a season, had some really quality wins in there. Obviously making it to the semifinals is no short feat in the KCAC, in any conference, and really kind of hats off to the Columbia guys. They're a very young program. I think people forget how young of a program Columbia is. They elevated themselves to elite status very, very, very quickly. So I really just continue to look forward to what Columbia puts together in the coming years. They are one of the schools we've talked about before that is very well supported on the lacrosse side from everything we can see. A great announcer with the play-by-play, a great field, a great location. So really excited to see where Columbia goes from there. But yeah, Ambrose put together what Ambrose does. They fought to the last second. That elevated them to where they are in this game, and put them into the championship game. But it's just, I think this game was an interesting one, because we really thought at times Columbia was going to take it away, and in typical Ambrose fashion, not the case at all. Any last kind of thoughts that stuck out to you in this one before we move on to the next semi?
Yeah, just a couple quick stats. For Ambrose, two of the leaders. Danner, 6 goals, 1 assist. Shakerin, 3 goals, 3 assists. So kind of the usual characters. And then for Columbia, Parrott, 5 goals, 5 assists. So man was really doing his thing. And then Peltier with 23 saves.
Dude, that kid rocks, man. He's a freshman. He's a freshman. He's a freshman, and if I recall correctly, he's I think he's from Oklahoma, right? I'm 95% sure on this. Apologies, man, if I'm saying it wrong, but man, what a absolute diamond for Columbia to pick up a goalie who is playing this well as a freshman. The sky is the limit for this kid. You put together this kind of a campaign as a freshman, people are going to be watching for years to come in the KCAC, especially.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Moving on to the night game of that semifinal series there. Ottawa took on Benedictine under the lights in Atchison. This was kind of, I guess, an interesting one, because I think, if I remember correctly on my picks, I was feeling pretty hot-handed with Ottawa. I just felt like the combo of the DeMarco brothers, Vincentini on face-off, their stellar goalie as well. A lot was going well for Ottawa, especially the past couple weeks, and so I was feeling really strong around this one. My kind of take on this game was Benedictine goes into it. They're playing a semifinal game at their own home site. It's do or die for them kind of mentality, and it just seems like the past couple games, maybe the past 2 weeks, I would even say, Benedictine has kind of stepped on the gas a little bit more. Things have been falling into place more. It just looks like more traditional Benny lacrosse. And that, I think that showed in this game. That the final on this one was Benedictine 18 advancing to the championship game, and Ottawa being eliminated with 12 goals.
Yeah, I mean, this may sound a little bit weird, but I think the kind of the bad loss to Cumberland's may have been the best thing that happened to Benedictine. They've played some really inspired lacrosse the past couple games, and I don't know, something about them just seems like a bad matchup for Ottawa. The 2 times we've seen them seemed very similar games, very high scoring on the Benedictine end. I don't know if it's maybe the tempo of the offense, just how quick they move at times, something like that. And Loud had 25 saves in this one for Benedictine. So that was another KCAC crazy goalie performance.
Yep. And I think we went into this one saying that these two teams were, in almost every area, they seem to be matched up very closely. That there was a lot of similarity between the two rosters. And guys, it's a 6-goal difference, but the amount of goals scored in this game, I think it shows that these teams were pretty well matched. It was a battle. It really was a battle. I have nothing but hats off to Ottawa this year. Really, they've always been a good program. They've always been a very good program in conference, but they emerged this year as like, yeah, you guys got to watch them moving forward, because I think that they're going to put together continued success at Ottawa moving forward.
Agreed. And then moving on, we have the AAC semis. We had Kaiser 8, Reinhardt 12. We're just seeing this one, Tucker.
Man, okay, so there were definitely points in this game where I was like, Kaiser's going to win this game. I was like, this is crazy. I can't believe to say this. This game's at Reinhardt, but I think Kaiser's going to win this game. And much like Ambrose, where I thought Columbia was going to win the game, Reinhardt turned it on. They turned it on. It was do or die. They're playing at their home site like Benedictine was. Reinhardt turned it on and took it away from Kaiser. But I don't know. This one was like, it just seemed like a battle to me. It really, really did.
Yeah, no, I agree with you in that one too. There were moments where I thought Kaiser may pull away as well. I think it was especially in the second quarter. It looked like that for a little bit. The one thing I noticed is in the second half, especially, Reinhardt started taking the Kaiser D mids from behind cage. And that's an area they tried to expose in the first meeting with not so much success. And this one, it seemed like it worked almost every time towards the end of the stretch.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when I think about two teams, or I think about a team that continually seems to have the ability to overthrow Reinhardt and gets very close, and they did obviously, but it just seems like Kaiser is the contender kind of there with the Reinhardt matchup, which is, I mean, I don't think you could have picked a better semifinal matchup. Do I wish it would have been Reinhardt Kaiser in the final? I mean, maybe, but I feel like this is another really, really solid semifinal matchup there. It's exciting lacrosse. If you can direct anybody towards the NAI and try to sell them on it and try to get them there to play, these are the kind of games you want to show them, because this is good, branded, well played NAI lacrosse. And man, you put anyone at any level watching these games, they're going to be in it. They're going to be excited. And that's, we love that. We love that for the game. We love that for the NAI brand. So great game there. Any stats you want to cover on that one?
Yeah, Cochran, the Reinhardt midi, had 3 goals, 2 assists. And then Hannock, he goes back and forth between midi and attack, 3 goals, 1 assist. And then Liam Wright and Cage, 16 saves, came up big.
Yep. That's a good point right there. Good stats all the way around there. Moving on to the second semifinal in Georgia there, Cumberland's and Tennessee Wesleyan. This one was a little bit, I picked completely opposite on this one.
So did I.
Yeah, we were very much on the T-dub train on this one. The final score was Cumberland's 12, Tennessee Wesleyan 2, a 10-goal differential in a semifinal game. I mean, what did you see that kind of led to this? Was this just Cumberland's turning on the gas?
Yes, it was one of those where the Cumberland's offense got rolling really early. They scored their first 9, and it's really tough to come back from that when you're down 9-0. I mean, Tennessee Wesleyan showed heart, they showed effort, they fought back a little bit, but it was just too much too late. And the Cumberland's defense played really good. They held T-Dub to only 27 shots, so that was impressive as well.
Do you think this is traditional power form of Cumberland's that we've seen in past years? Was this game more representative of that?
Yeah, I would say especially on the defensive end. It had been a little while since we'd seen, not that they played bad the couple games, but this was kind of more like the Cumberland's defense we had seen earlier in the year.
Well said. So moving on from that one, I guess the kind of highlights there, with the UC offense, especially Couch with 2 goals, 2 assists, and Vanover with 3 goals and 1 assist there, on the Cumberland side. Those are good stats, and I think what I'm liking about the stats we saw from this game and the stats we saw from the last semifinal is it's not super heavy necessarily on one player, which means that everybody is getting involved in the offensive production in particular in these games, which is really, really important to see, especially going into national tournament picture. These players that are making impacts are healthy and ready to play, which at this point in the year is very good to see.
Absolutely. And then moving on to, I'm gonna have to ask you, this may have been the biggest upset in the season. At least for me, it was certainly the biggest in the second half of the season. But Taylor 14, Lords 13. Thoughts on
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah. This is I was surprised by this one. I don't want to say I was crazy surprised. I knew that Taylor had the ability to do so. I know that they've had some struggles in the past couple games. They weren't finding rhythm, it looked like, and they found rhythm here. And I think I said this from the start of the year. If Taylor finds their rhythm and their players are all playing the way they should and the way they can, they're a very good team. And I didn't expect to see it this late in the season. Did I think that all hope was lost kind of situation? Maybe, maybe not. But I agree with you. That is a huge win. That is, in my mind, the biggest win for Taylor Lacrosse period so far. Is that might be their first win against a receiving votes team as well, which is an interesting one. I recall Taylor was receiving votes, I think early this year maybe, or last year. So that at one point Taylor was receiving votes, I can recall. But this was, I think, the biggest one by far in Taylor history. And I do agree with you. I think this is probably the biggest upset of the second half of the season, of Aac play that we've seen so far. A very important win for Taylor and their program, but also a good game clearly because, a 1-goal game. Lords was fighting to be in that game. Taylor was fighting to be in that game. You like to see that kind of all around. Is there anything in particular, did players jump out to you on this? I know that there's a one player you'll mention that had a big scoring ability in this game for Taylor.
Yeah, it was, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Kcac had 5 goals, and then Taylor had 4 goals and 1 assist. And I don't know if it was maybe just a senior night, let's send these guys out the right kind of way thing, or what it was, but that was definitely the biggest win in program history. And as we were saying, like, if this game would have happened earlier in the year, I think I would have been more so, like, would have seen it coming, because Taylor started the year 2-2 and beat a pretty good Midland squad earlier in the year.
They
And then
did.
they lost, I think it was 9 straight. So that's kind of when that we both kind of jumped off the bandwagon a little bit. So this was a really good way to end the season. I'm sure it'll help. And I don't know, it may even help in recruiting a little bit.
I think it will. I do. And you, for those of you not aware of kind of the recruiting landscape in Indiana, Fort Wayne is obviously a big lacrosse area. Kind of in my mind, Indiana. I've been to a lot of tournaments there. Obviously, Indianapolis has a decent amount of lacrosse there, no doubt. But the two teams that kind of compete in the NAI scene in Indiana are Taylor and Indiana Tech. And obviously, Indiana Tech sells people on not just lacrosse, but a lot with the campus. So that's a tough competition for Taylor. And I know that Taylor traditionally has got a lot of their players from Fort Wayne, where Indiana Tech is located. So that hasn't stopped them so far there. And then obviously on the D2 side, you have a very good Indy team, Indianapolis. That's a very good D2 team. So that's kind of the more or less the recruiting landscape there for programs receiving scholarship money. There's quite a few D3 programs that are very solid in Indiana, but those I think are kind of the big competitors competing for players in that area. So I think this definitely helps recruiting. I think you probably get more looks from kids from Ohio because of this as well. But I mean, for those who don't know, they're a unique school, I guess I would say. They're a very religious institution, as a lot of the NAI schools are. They're known for their really good basketball. They're crazy basketball. They all swarm the field or all swarm the court in costumes on ESPN every year. It's a great school. And I think it takes a certain person to go there, but when they get someone to buy in, it seems to work for them very well on the lacrosse side. So very excited to see where Taylor goes and where their program builds from there. Another team to kind of mark on the upset watch, I guess, moving forward, is that you look at next season, they could be a very serious contender, especially with the way the Aac has gone this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And
And
then
then
moving on.
drum roll, folks. The Aac Championship. Take it away, John.
Yeah, this was a fun one. I made it out to this one. It was Cumberland's 12, Reinhardt 15. And I got to be honest, there was a point earlier in this one where I thought Cumberland's was going to run away with it. They scored 4 goals in probably the first 5 minutes or so. And then Reinhardt scored the next 3 to end the first quarter. It was a pretty back and forth game the whole way through. I'd say the only time where it really got semi comfortable lead, like 3 or 4 goals for Reinhardt, would be the middle of the second. They went on a 6-0 run. And that was really the difference, honestly. I mean, without that 6-0 run, it's anyone's game, really. Biggest deciding factor in this one, I would say JR Sess. I believe he went 25 of 31 on
Dude,
faceoffs.
that's more than solid. Yeah, this matchup, that's very solid.
Yeah, I mean, if you limit the possessions, like it's equals goals taken off the board, you know what I mean? So deciding factor. And then shout out Liam Wright. He won the tournament MVP with another 13 saves in this one.
Hey, you like to see that. You like to see that getting an MVP there. On the Reinhardt side here, Cochran with 4 goals and 3 assists, Busquets with 3 goals and 3 assists. Those are very solid stats. To have more than 6 points against Cumberland's is very big. And this game is different in the sense that they were both very crucial in the overall scoring in the picture for Reinhardt, no doubt at all there. For Cumberland's, not bad stats at all. Fogarty with 3 goals, 3 assists. Coltrane, 4 goals, 1 assist, and then Settle with 15 saves. Those are not those are not stats to look down on by any means. This was the AAC championship game I think a lot of us expected and wanted to see, and it's a bit of a rivalry as well, which is I think it makes it that much more interesting and exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at preseason, these are kind of the 2 teams you pick year in and year out that they're either going to meet in the semis or they're going to meet in the championship. So
Absolutely. On to the Kcac Championship back in Atchison, Kansas, between Benedictine and St. Ambrose. Again, I think this is one that we wanted to see and look forward to seeing between 2 really good teams here. I was watching this game for pretty much the entire thing. Didn't get to pay detailed attention to it per se. For those who don't know, I'm the PA voice of most of Clarke athletics. So I was actually announcing a baseball game at the baseball stadium while watching lacrosse on my phone between at bats. So I was following along with this one. I had some of the baseball guys following along too with the excitement, which was pretty funny. But man, this game was electric. This game was one for the books. For Benedictine to win 10-8 and get what I would consider an upset championship win over a number 1 team on their home turf is freaking electric, man. We saw what happened when it all was over. They were rushing the stands, people were rushing the field. I mean, it was just the pictures I saw today released. They are the epitome of excitement in NAI lacrosse. I was so pumped about this one. I can't tell you how many times in this game I was sitting there and watching, and I was like, Benedictine's going to win. Benedictine's going to lose. Benedictine's going to win. Benedictine's going to lose. It was just back and forth. There'd be signs of hope. It would go back down again. Ambrose would fight back, and a few last second goal type situations there. This was a duel. If you would have asked you or I 3 weeks ago if Benedictine would be playing in this championship game, I think we would have said no. I
agree with you on that. I probably wouldn't
think
have said it either.
I think I probably would have picked Ottawa. I think I would have picked differently on this one, to be honest with you. But the fact is, Benedictine, they played well. They had issues, at some points in the year, but man, they turned it around. They turned it around in a big way. Kind of, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I've seen from Benedictine maybe the past 2 or 3 games is if they can even get 40% of possession, they have a dang good chance of winning with that offense.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece, is that, people tend to forget what the Benedictine offense is like, but man, when they're rolling, they're rolling. It's really, really, really hard to stop them, I would say there. What did you see stat wise in this one?
Let me pull that up real quick. We had Guck with 4 goals, 2 assists, and then Loud came up big once again, another 16 game saves.
I'm writing our little national playoff picture down here now that I'm starting to see things form. So that was yeah, guys, nothing shy of an awesome game from both teams in this one. Both teams wanted to be there more than anything in the world, and it was a great day for lacrosse in the NAI. It really was exciting stuff. Now we have a better idea of what the national picture will look like, I think. Obviously, we're still waiting on the WAC in a lot of ways.
Come on, guys.
But that's all right.
I'm joking.
It is what it is. We'll deal with that picture later. But quickly here, let's talk about where we're sitting right now with the national picture. From the AAC side, the 2 teams that I feel comfortable saying are definitely in are Cumberland's and Reinhardt. I think that seems to be a solid assumption there. Do we think Kaiser is in? I think Kaiser's in for sure as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Kaiser's in. So my last 3 teams in right now are Kaiser, Tennessee Wesleyan, and Benedictine. How you want to rank those, I don't know. Just because the big deal on this one is going to be how the AAC ranks it internally between Kaiser and Tennessee Wesleyan, where Tennessee Wesleyan probably has the better record and they have the head-to-head win, but it seems like Kaiser did a little better in the last maybe 2 games or so.
Well, what do we think? So let's look at let's talk on the side of the WAC, kind of hypotheticals what we're looking at here. Indiana Tech's in. That's a clear thing right there. Indiana Tech's in. Who else is in from that conference? I would say Aquinas is in for sure.
Yeah, I would say Aquinas for sure. And then really the only way I see anyone else winning or making it, I should say, is if Siena Heights goes out and wins the entire thing.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And this kind of goes back to our question. So we talked before about who's definitely in, why are they in? On the KCAC side, Ambrose wins the regular season championship. They are in because of that. Benedictine wins the tournament championship. They are in because of that. Those are 2 automatic qualifiers right there. AQs. On the AAC side, Reinhardt is in for winning the tournament. Cumberland's comes in second. They would be the kind of the one up because Reinhardt also won the regular season as well. So that's an important one. Those are both 2 AQs as well. That's 4 of the 8 for sure. Locked in right there. Now, Indiana Tech wins the regular season in the WAC. That's an automatic qualifier. Locked in as well. That puts us at 5 teams for sure locked in as of today, without question. Kaiser and Aquinas are the 2 we're talking about right now that are in our minds. They are in, questionable on whether that's T-Dub or Kaiser, obviously on the AAC side of things. I don't think I see Siena Heights getting in. Unfortunately, would have loved to see them get in with the way they played. I guess the only question here is if somebody else besides Indiana Tech wins the WAC, the conference, they are in. And that's the question. That's the only situation.
I mean, it's just hard for me to see anyone not named Aquinas or Indiana Tech win it. I mean, I'd say Siena Heights is capable for sure. Maybe Madonna finally puts all the right pieces together. But I'm going to be honest, I don't see anyone out of like those 2 winning it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do we feel like, now here's the question. So if all the teams we just said between the locked in and the highly probable, we are at 7 teams, leaving that 8th spot open. Is that T-Dub? Is that Weber? Is that a non-AAC if we have Cumberland's, Reinhardt, and Kaiser all in from the AAC?
I think you got to go Tennessee Wesleyan. I mean, they're 13-3, head-to-head wins in the regular season matchup against Cumberland's, Kaiser, Tennessee. I'm forgetting one, drawing a blank, but they beat they beat pretty much everyone in conference not named Reinhardt. So
That's kind of the way I'm seeing this one fall to be honest with you. Not to count out our Weber guys, because man, we love riding the Weber train there. Obviously, it's not for sure by any means, but this is kind of just the hypothetical we're looking in. As of today, 5 teams are officially locked in for nationals. So 5 teams have punched their ticket to nationals in Pensacola, Florida. We know that as a fact right now. So that's kind of the next thing to figure out. Once the WAC gets their tournament going, they obviously announce their bracket. We will then know more about who is going from the WAC, and that'll determine the potential 4th, 5th team situation for the AAC as well.
yeah, and then moving on, I ran a couple polls I want to cover real quick. The first one was how far should Ambrose fall after the loss to Benedictine? 40, the choices were 3rd, 4th, or 5th, just because I'm fairly confident you move Indiana Tech and Reinhardt both ahead of them. And I don't see them falling further than 5th, honestly. So 44% of the voters said 3rd, 25% said 4th, and 31% said 5th. Do you agree with them that it's 3rd, or where do you sit on this one?
I'm sitting 4th. I'm sitting 4th because now we have to start thinking these polls or these numbers are based off of conference tournaments now, correct? Like what we're looking at in this picture we're talking about is going to be based off of conference tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all they have left is the WAC conference tournament. But one thing I do want to clarify, some people were asking me, would Benedictine have to be ahead of them because they beat them? And the answer to that is no. The 2 raters for the conference decide the order of the teams who are kind of in a certain order before it goes to nationals, and the nationals have to vote accordingly. So what I would assume is that they would vote them co-number ones and then let the Raiders pick. And I'm assuming the Raiders would take Ambrose just based off of kind of resume and overall. So there's one game.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm seeing it. I mean, I feel like saying 4th is probably, I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe 3rd. I guess the question now is it's like, I don't think, again, I'm with you. I don't think the Raiders are going to be like, oh, the Benedictine win changes everything. I don't think it changes everything because you have an entire season behind that would beg differently. I mean, maybe 3rd. Are you thinking we're looking at like a Reinhardt 1 after that tournament win? Kaiser or Cumberland's, are they a potential 2? Ambrose 3, Benny kind of in the 4 mix. What are you thinking?
So right now I have Indiana Tech at 1
Oh.
and then Reinhardt just behind them. And I mean, I know a lot of people are probably going to say they clearly have Indiana Tech ahead. I think it's pretty close. Like if Indiana Tech were to slip up, I would put Reinhardt 1. But assuming Indiana Tech wins out, I think they take the 1 seed and Reinhardt takes 2.
I like that. So are you in the Ambrose 3 or 4 seed or 5? What are you thinking?
I think we got to go 3. I mean, if Aquinas were to upset Indiana Tech, then things get a little bit more chaotic where they could end up in 4. But right now I feel pretty good about them at 3.
I think I agree with you. I feel like 3 is a healthy answer to that.
And this brings me right into perfectly placed next poll. How high should Benedictine be ranked? The choices I picked were 8th, 7th, and 6th, just because I don't see them being too much higher than that. 39% of the voters did 8th, 25% said 7th, and then the second closest one was 36% said 6th. What are your thoughts on that?
I think 7th. Because I mean, I hate to say it, but I think when it comes down to it, those picking this order are going to probably lean more favorably on the AAC side and put those teams in there based on who they played. And that's just the way things tend to fall. And then you also got to think that Indiana Tech and Aquinas are probably going to be above them as well. So I think 7's probably a healthy answer to that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, honestly, if you told me they were 6th, wouldn't really have a problem with it. If you told me they were 8th, I wouldn't really have a problem with it either. I mean,
No.
That's just kind of where we are. And then the final poll I ran, who from the AAC do you have ranked higher, Tennessee Wesleyan or Kaiser? And this one was the closest poll I ran. Kaiser won it by 51% to Tennessee Wesleyan's 49%.
Kaiser. I think Kaiser.
Yeah, I think it's very close. I mean, I think if you look at it as a whole, Tennessee Wesleyan has the better resume, but Kaiser played a little bit better down the stretch. So I mean, it really could go either way. Which one do you take into account more?
Yeah. I mean, these discussions we're having between these teams, they're so similar and they're so close together. It's hard to pick between. It really is.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Any other final topics you want to cover?
Man, I don't think so, guys. It was a bit of a shorter episode tonight. I think we kept it about 40 minutes, which is obviously great for your listening and viewing pleasure. Obviously as we go into the tournament season here, a little bit less to talk about. Our next podcast will be pretty much just talking about the Aac.
Do you want to make some Aac picks real quick?
Let's make some Aac picks. Let's go.
Read the bracket real quick. Give me 1 sec. Let's get that up. All right, so let me cover the format real quick. So 6 seeds, just like the rest of them. Indiana Tech is the 1 seed, so they get a first round bye. Aquinas 2 seed, also a bye. So we got, looks like number 4 Madonna will host number 5 Lawrence Tech. What are you thinking on that one? That was a 1-goal overtime win, I think, for Madonna about a week or 2 ago. So it was very close.
I'm going Madonna due to their much playoff experience.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I'm going to go Madonna as well. Then we have number 3 Siena Heights versus number 6 Lords.
Siena Heights.
Yeah, I agreed. I mean, I don't know. I could see it either going one of 2 ways. After that Taylor loss, Lords is either completely done on the year or they're the most fired up they've ever been in program history. So just due to that unknown, I'm going to go Siena Heights.
Okay, what do we got next?
I mean, that's the first round. We could
that's
keep
true.
Going.
Man, that's true. Wow. Yeah. So that gives you any idea how much lacrosse we have for the next podcast.
About
yeah. No, it's guys, we're in the home stretch here of a very successful year of NAI lacrosse and a very successful year of the podcast in this format. We can't say thank you guys enough to where this podcast has gone. I still can't believe it, looking at the fact that we have between 300 and 500 listeners consistently every single episode. And guys, the feedback we're hearing from you, the messages we're hearing from you, the comments, the thoughts, it's fueling us. It really, really is. I don't think if you told us it was going this well, 6 months ago or whenever we started this, in the middle of winter, that it would turn into this. It has been absolutely phenomenal. We're not planning on going anywhere. The podcast will return. So don't fear. The NAI Lacrosse podcast is not going anywhere. That's the good news for you. And there's a few more episodes of playoff lacrosse to cover here on the podcast moving forward. So I don't have anything else except for a big old thank you to everyone out there. And I hope you're all doing well and staying healthy and hopefully enjoying some better weather.
Yeah. Final thing for me. I think next Sunday when we go live, we should have the bracket out. I believe it's coming out next Sunday.
And we'll have some big news to discuss. So we got a lot of stuff to discuss for the next one that you guys get to look forward to.
See you later, guys. Thanks for listening.